We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony, and in this cartoony, we're invading your TV. It's not gonna work again. It didn't work at all the first time.
We're tiny, we're toony, we're all a little loony, and in this cartoony, we're invading your TV.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 72 of the Secondary Heroes podcast. This week, we talk about the rise and fall of Saturday morning cartoons. This is your host, Trevor, and joining me as usual is...
Hey, guys, it's Prague.
I found 3 white hairs in my beard this morning, and now I feel as old as Prague. This is DeLorean Wolfgang.
Nice.
Prague, what was it like when you found your first gray hair back in 1963?
Well, you know, I was a bit surprised, but it ran in the family, so I knew what to expect there. For me, so what you have to look forward to are nose hairs, because that's what I have now.
Oh, dude,
Big
right
time.
now they're getting... The one thing that I'm really worried about is the ear hairs.
Yeah, I have those. It's fun. You can tickle them like little antennae, you know, your earlobes.
All right, dude, no more of that.
No? Okay. I mean, I could go on if you wanted to, but
Nope.
it's even worse now during quarantine since we can't cut hair, you know.
Yeah, I feel like hygiene is hitting an all-time low for most.
A lot of us, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I will say I skipped my shower until this afternoon, and I felt disgusting because I was sweating all day long, and I'm like,
God.
okay, I've got to shower before we record the podcast because I am dying right now. This is gross.
At least one of us got a haircut. Looks like Trevor got a little
Trevor,
trim
getting
there.
the
Yeah.
fade, bro.
a little shave and a haircut.
Little,
Two
you know,
bits.
lowering
There you
your
go.
ears. Got to get
Lowering
your
your
ears
ears, nice.
lowered.
Just in time, too. I think everything's now closed as of Tuesday.
I know, now
That's
again.
Yep.
California.
It's a good time to revisit some Saturday morning cartoons
Ooh.
on your streaming services.
Before we get there, though, how about that new audio intro?
Oh, chef's kiss, baby. I love it.
It's very nice. Yeah, it's like our own jingle, I guess, so to
Is
speak.
it? Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
it incorporated the jingle that Trevor created, and then just movies that we all know and love with a little bit extra in there. You know, it's
It only
just
took
fun.
72 episodes.
Only
got
took.
it.
It was something that I had been wanting to do for a really long time. I actually reached out to friends of mine who are like music, like producers and stuff like that, and I said, "Hey, is this something that you guys might be able to do?" But everything that they sent back were really not our style at all, and I was like, "I'm just gonna take it." So I actually used a video editor to do audio editing, which is it's practically
One
the
way.
same thing, right?
Whatever works, man. It's like
then-
using duct tape to steal up, Hoover Dam or something when it springs a leak. It's great.
Nice.
Or bubblegum.
Or bubblegum, perfect.
But speaking of video, if you are watching this on YouTube, we also have brand new video logo, animated, cool stuff to spice things up.
I don't think there could be a better episode to debut our animated logo than episode talking about animated shows, right?
Unreal. What a
Unreal.
transition, Prague. I love what you did there.
You know?
But yeah, it's great. Our new animated logos look awesome. And again, let's thank Julie for creating that logo. And then who do we have to thank for the animation? Nobody, because we paid for it.
The internet. Thank you, the internet, for providing our logo.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that's
And
fine.
they are beautiful, man. I love them.
It is. So where should we begin with our journey through time?
How about right at the beginning? Like the first Saturday morning cartoon.
What
I
would
know
be the
that
first
you and
Saturday
I-
morning cartoon?
Sorry?
I'm trying to think what the first Saturday morning cartoon was.
Trevor, do you know what the first Saturday morning cartoon?
I did actually listen to your conversation when you guys thought.
Oh,
I
you
wasn't,
did
so I
listen
do.
to the
No spoilers.
Well, the cool thing about the very first Saturday morning cartoon is that Funko, everybody loves Funko. It's just fun. They actually just recently came out with a toy of this character, and his name is Crusader Rabbit. Yeah.
Interesting.
So back in the 60s, they were doing just a test to see what kind of programming would work on just these off hours, like in the morning. And Saturday morning was perfect for children. And so what they did was they played Crusader Rabbit, which was the most crudest of animation. It really was an animation.
Okay.
It was pretty much like if you ever watch like the behind the scenes of like a Pixar, we have just the still frames.
Right.
What are they called?
Cells.
Like the storyboards.
Storyboard. That's pretty much what it was. It was like a storyboard,
Wow, that
and it
creative.
almost was like they had this like thing where they just moved the mouth like, oh no, we've got to go fight Texas.
Oh,
Because
so
the first episode was Crusader Rabbit against Texas.
So that's like the Canadians in South Park. I like it. 'Cause that's how they talk.
Practically, yeah.
Okay. Well, I wonder if that's probably where they got the idea.
Oh, come on, guy.
Oh, yeah, I'm not your buddy, pal.
But yeah, so it was I actually watched a little bit of one of the episodes, and it was tough to watch.
Yeah.
Like, it was just,
yeah, but back then, I mean, what did we have? Like, we pretty much had Kick the Can and Little Orphan Annie. So, yeah, we would take Crusader Rabbit. Sure.
Well, and in that era, the only time that you really would see cartoons was in movies. You would only see them in movies because they were so expensive to create. The fact that they wanted to make a cartoon for TV was kind of unheard of because of the cost of animation.
Right. And they're probably scared. They're like, oh my gosh, we have to do this every week, not just once, like one and done. This is like, no, weekly.
Right.
Pump these out. Who are we going to hire? How is this going to happen?
Yeah, think how long it takes Walt Disney to oversee all of the animators to make
right?
Cinderella and Snow White and everything in that period.
Yeah.
I tell you what, man. Nobody was overseeing Crusader Rabbit because that was some garbage material.
It's a fun design, though. I actually picked up that Funko Soda of him because the design itself was wonderful. So they at least got the design down. You know, the character design was well made. It just seemed like the animation wasn't quite there yet back then.
Well, for sure, yeah. But you know what? That's actually what started the whole Saturday morning cartoons. Let's get the kids watching TV at 8:00 in the morning.
Get them hooked early, yeah.
Get them hooked early, man.
Well, they're up early usually on the weekend before their parents, so it's almost like having a babysitter for your kids. You know, you just let them watch their TV programs in the morning while mommy and daddy sleep in. You know.
You know what's funny is I actually didn't even think about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is such a good babysitter.
Yeah.
Like, just turn on the TV and watch TV while we get to sleep.
It's been a
Oh my
babysitter
God.
for a number of generations now.
TV, man.
Yep.
Father, mother, secret lover.
I hadn't heard that. But yeah, so as we move down the years, Saturday morning obviously became more popular for cartoons, and they started ushering in more cartoons like the Jetsons and Flintstones and stuff.
Yeah, a lot of Hanna-Barbera stuff.
Yeah,
right?
Hanna-Barbera started becoming bigger. Well, it was because of William Hanna and Joseph Barbera. They both, I believe, were they fired from MGM, or did they leave on their own terms? I didn't really catch that, but
I don't know. I've heard this story, but I don't remember what the deal was.
yeah, I
there.
don't remember.
But
they ended up turning into a industry powerhouse. I mean, if you think animation back in the 60s, 70s, you were thinking Hanna-Barbera. Like, they were huge.
Yeah. I was.
So did you guys ever watch the Flintstones or Jetsons at Saturday mornings? Because I don't remember it, like, when I was a kid, that was not. Yeah, that was like late night, like for the adults type of cartoons, because my generation, we didn't care about that stuff. That was too old.
Trevor's wearing a looks like a Flintstone shirt there. I can't quite tell. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on that? Did you end up watching those on a morning, or do you see them at a different time of day, Trevor?
I think those were broadcast on Nick at Night.
Oh,
like,
geez.
Nick at Night, yeah.
Yeah, they would show like Honeymooners and I Love Lucy, and then transitioned into the Flintstones and Jetsons.
Which is funny because the Flintstones is like a send up of the Honeymooners.
The Honeymooners, yeah.
Which is funny. Interesting. I get, it's fun. I watch a lot of Nick at Night, but I don't remember that lineup. And that might have been between times for me when I was watching other stuff in the evenings. But I actually did watch those shows on Saturday mornings, and it was a big deal. Like, it was such a big deal that they had the Jetsons, the movie that came out when I was a kid, and I had to see that in theaters. Like, I had to, because it was such a big show to me. Even though I don't remember almost anything at all about the show, it was just something that I watched every morning on Saturdays. So yeah, I had to watch the movie because of it. Same thing with the Flintstones.
Now, I remember Flintstones and Jetsons getting, and pretty much all of Hanna-Barbera getting bought up by Cartoon Network.
Right,
and
that
they
was
pretty
much later, but yeah.
This was much later, and I remember them making a movie where the Flintstones actually, or the Jetsons met the Flintstones.
That happened as well, yeah.
And I always found that to be absolutely fascinating. Like, that the Flintstones pretty much lived underneath the clouds of the Jetsons, like, sky condos that they had. And I loved that thought, thinking you've got cavemen down here while the high class, whatever, uppities are up here.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's almost like a parallel universe kind of a situation when they did that.
But that was way outside of Saturday morning cartoons.
Right, but it's based on those Saturday morning cartoons. It's just interesting to see how some of those shows has transcended time, the longevity of it. I know it's part of what we're going to be talking about today, is how there was a ton. I mean, I think the reason why I don't remember a lot of the details of the shows that I watched as a kid is because there were so many of them on Saturday mornings. You would be up early and watch them for hours on end.
Yes. They
would
would keep trying all these just bizarre cartoons.
Right.
Like, I think the Brady Bunch even had a cartoon.
If it
Laverne
had
and Shirley
else,
had a cartoon.
Oh my. Shamazel.
Haas and Pfeffer Incorporated.
Right.
We gonna do it.
Our way. Oh, sorry. God, I feel old. And Trevor's like, I don't know what you guys are singing or talking about.
But it almost turned into, and I know that we discussed this a little bit pre-show, but I kind of feel like Saturday morning cartoons was almost where, like, the corporate world, like the big three, the big three is really what ushered in all of these and made Saturday morning cartoons big, with NBC, CBS, and ABC.
Yeah.
But I feel like they saw a way to get kids into their adult shows by creating cartoons of their adult shows. It's just so bizarre to me. They like I said, Laverne and Shirley, Brady Bunch. I don't really find those to be.
I think it locks your household into a particular channel too. Like, Brady Bunch is on ABC, and it's like, we'll just leave ABC always on.
Right. That's a good point, actually. Because I think I remember, like, I just had the vaguest of memories of even watching those shows in the evening, like the primetime shows, and then they would advertise their cartoon versions during that same show. So if you had a kid who was in the room while the adult was watching that show, they're like, oh my gosh, that I can watch the same show as Dad in the mornings as a cartoon show on Saturday mornings.
Like, I can watch Fonz and the Happy Days Gang.
Right. Hey.
Like, why is that a cartoon?
Who knows? I guess
Which
they
makes
really
me
were
wonder
after they jumped the shark. That's
you took mine. All of us wanted to say that.
It had to have been. It had to have been after they jumped the shark on that one.
Oh, they jumped the animated shark. All right. That was good. All right, guys. Go team. I like how we were all on the same page on that one, though. That was good. Yeah, but I mean, for me, like, I think we should, like, at this point talk at least about, like, maybe a couple of our favorite shows that really stood out to us when we were kids, because I think we might have different ones because of our different ages.
Well, and that's where I feel like we would kind of usher in the 80s, because that's really when at least me and you probably watched most of our Saturday morning cartoons,
right?
Which that's where a lot of the cartoons, got. I'm trying to think of what the wording is.
Well, they became commercialized. Is what happened. They became
extremely yes.
I don't know. They almost became like products rather than cartoon shows. It was like, here's a way to mass market stuff to children.
Well, and that's
That
what
was
they
They're
80s.
turned
almost
into.
ads. They're like
There are.
22
There's
minute ads.
half-hour
Yeah,
ads
Yeah.
or 22
half-hour
minute, really.
ads for sure.
Yeah.
To sell toys.
And it worked. It worked like insane on me, at least as a kid. And it's like, that's part of the reason too why I don't remember the shows as much, because I'd rather play like that with the toys. So
It
I
worked
would
on
go
me
out,
too. I
the
still
toys.
buy the toys from the cartoons that I watched when I was a kid.
Right, but I would go out and I'd buy those toys, I'd play with them and forget all about the show because I'm creating my own narrative. Yeah, I bought those toys. The commercial worked on me, you know? I do think that's why I don't remember like much about those shows other than their theme song, which were always catchy. That was part of the deal. And the products that I would go out and buy. That's it. That's what I remember about those shows. If you ask me about He-Man, like I could not tell you a single thing. I have no idea what Castle Grayskull is all about. I know that I had the whole set. I know I had all the toys. I know I played with them a lot, but I could not tell you a thing about the lore. Like it always surprises me that there's these people out there that are like, oh, you're going to ruin the lore of this cartoon by making it this. And I'm like, how do you remember that stuff? Like who at like 7 or 6 years old was like, hi, I'm going through all the backstory on He-Man. Like it was a toy manufacturer that wanted to find out a way to sell these toys to kids and created a cartoon.
Exactly.
So, I don't know. That's
And then it also connects to fast food places. I mean, McDonald's is having all the Transformers or toys, so you can buy them at Toys R Us, which no longer exists, and then you can go get your little Happy Meal afterwards, and then you get another one, and then you can go and watch it. So you start in the morning, you watch it, and then you go out to buy stuff, and then you go to lunch,
and then
you
go
get
to lunch, buy more stuff. Yeah, that's great.
It's a whole
it was
cycle.
all, yeah, it was all commercialism.
The
and
cereals
products
had
in
the little
80s.
toys in them, so you could eat the cereals, and then you're going to have
Yes.
the little toys.
And that reminds me, that actually is probably my favorite piece of nostalgia, like physical nostalgia. It's something I got. Let me see if I can show it to this people who are actually watching us on YouTube. Garfield and Friends. So Garfield and Friends was a great cartoon that was on back in the 80s. And Odie was like my favorite character. And I happened
Odie
to get
was the greatest, man.
I happened to get his pencil topper. It was a simple plastic, like cheap pencil topper in a box of cereal. And it was I mean, I thought it was the best thing I've ever had in my life. And I was like probably like, 7 or 8 at the time. But I loved it. It was my favorite thing. And of course, my teacher took it away because I could not stop playing with it in class. So I have not seen it since probably the 2nd or 3rd grade, whenever that was.
Damn it! Now I'm gonna end up getting on YouTube, or not YouTube, but eBay,
eBay.
and I'm gonna look this up for you, and I'm gonna try and
Aw.
buy you an Odie pencil topper.
But then I'll probably have it and be like, oh, why did I want this? Like, why was I've done that before. I've been like, I really want this, and I get it, and I'm like, oh, that was dumb. It sits in a drawer. So who knows?
Pretty much.
But that's my little story about that. But any other cartoons for you guys that were kind of like big, like kind of big nostalgia pieces
Well,
for you guys
I mean,
back then?
the weird thing is a lot of the cartoons that, like, for me, that were my favorite are still popular today. You get the Ninja Turtles, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're still coming out with figures today. They're still coming out with cartoons today. And it seems that there's certain cartoons that have really transcended the whole fall of the Saturday morning cartoons. Like, we don't see very much of like the Thundercats, or, I mean, I know G.I. Joe, I feel, keeps pecking and trying to get through, but it just keeps falling short.
Yeah.
Even He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, they're still trying. But when you've got powerhouses like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Transformers, cartoons like that are still good today.
My Little Pony too.
My Little Pony is huge, and there are
Comic
some
books and
My Little
everything.
Pony nuts out there.
Yeah. So yeah, some do stand the test of time, and some get forgotten. You're like, oh,
And Netflix is trying to bring so many of them back, like that new
Oh, yes, they
Voltron
are starting to
series,
get it out there,
all those
yeah.
new Masters of the Universe series they keep throwing out there.
Yeah, I mean, they seem popular. I guess I don't know their numbers, but
I
they
haven't
keep
watched
renewing
the new-
them. So
Right, exactly. I haven't watched the new Voltron, but I hear it is fantastic.
Well, the new Voltron is outstanding.
yeah, that's what I've been hearing.
But I've
haven't
never
tried
watched
it.
the old Voltron.
Right.
Voltron was before my time. I was more growing up when Power Rangers, and we're not into animated stuff, so I won't focus on that. But
Right.
But
for
that's
me,
the thing is, Power Rangers even became a staple of Saturday morning cartoons because they were starting. That's when it started taking over Saturday morning. Was shows like that, shows that they could sell toys, but there was a whole government thing where you can't sit there and just advertise straight to kids. Like
Well, you can't.
it was so.
Shoot, I was going to. And
I
guess I'll
didn't
scrap
go
that
too
plan.
deep into that whole bit, but yeah,
Right.
I guess there was. Anyway, we'll get to that eventually. We're still talking about the top dogs right now of cartoons.
I really
Right,
like how
so-
hyped you are tonight, Alex.
Yeah,
Well,
like-
because this is such a cool. It's a really cool topic that like I've actually really wanted to talk about this for a while because it's very interesting that we all, maybe not all of us, but a lot of us, we grew up waking up in the morning. Like for instance, my little tradition that I would do, I would wake up so early in the morning, turn on Woody Woodpecker was always super early.
Right.
And I loved Woody Woodpecker because he was full of energy. He was bouncing off the walls. And I was like, I love this
I
cartoon.
identify with that guy.
And I am willing to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I would drag my blanket into the living room, lay
Aw.
down on the living room couch. My mom would wake up just to make me like a bowl of cereal or a Pop-Tart, lay it down right next to me while I'm just laying there. She would probably go back to bed or something, and I just zoned out into cartoon world for the next like 2 hours.
Wow. I like
You know,
that image.
Kids can do that any time of day now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not specific to Saturday morning.
No,
Right.
It's not a ritual anymore. It's
Right.
not that ritual of sitting down. Because, like, for me, I mean, I'm old, right? So back in my day, they had these TVs that would sit on the floor. So
Our
I would
TV
sit
sat on the floor. Yeah,
They were like furniture items
Yeah,
themselves.
they were
They
furniture
were
items.
wood.
They were wood. We had like 4 channels. That was it. And you clunk the dial. It clunks. It makes a clunking sound as you change the dial. And yeah, I would sit on the floor. And it wasn't until probably I was like 8 when we finally got a smaller TV that would sit up on something, and I would sit on the couch. But yeah, I spent my Saturday mornings like they show, all the time, and renderings that you're sitting, Indian style on the floor watching your Saturday morning cartoons.
Yeah.
With your cereal and all that. We didn't have Pop-Tarts back then, but we had cereal.
I missed all like the things that you guys did, but when I was growing up, that's right when Nickelodeon came into its own. Like it launched with a couple live action things, but it finally figured out its thing right when I'm growing up. And that's when
Yes.
they're getting into Rugrats, and they extend into Angry Beavers and Hey Arnold and all the damn like Rocko's Modern Life, All Real Monsters, just everything. They're just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah. Yeah, they were
And
pumping
that was
out cartoons like crazy.
And that was roughly around the fall of all Saturday morning ritual and the Saturday morning cartoons was the cable. Yeah, you now had Disney Channel. You now had Nickelodeon. You now
had a
had
channel
Cartoon Network.
dedicated to showing cartoons a whole day. Their whole block
it's
of the day
ridiculous.
is
Like, oh my
cartoons. It
gosh.
doesn't matter if it's
Right.
Monday at 2 in the afternoon or it's Friday at whatever.
And the big three really noticed that they weren't making very much money off of these because there was now all these new regulations in the late 80s and early 90s to where they couldn't advertise to a certain
Right.
age group. They couldn't advertise to them. So that now made them scale back on their Saturday morning cartoons. And that's where you started seeing like Hanna-Barbera get picked up by Cartoon Network and
Mhm.
and WB WB was kind of Hanna-Barbera stuff. But
trying to
either
remember
way,
who doing
yeah.
that back But yeah, Trevor, did you end up watching that, a lot of the Hanna-Barbera because of that? Do you remember?
I think it's once they went over to Cartoon Network
Yeah.
and they
Okay.
were showing old stuff. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. Yeah, I was trying to think like how that would work. 'Cause we didn't have cable until I think the 90s in our house. Like my
Right.
parents didn't want to really do that, so we didn't have like
That's
MTV
like
or
right when I'm
anything
going
really.
Nickelodeon's
Um,
channel 33, which is like a big deal going that far up on the dial.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of missed out on the early wave of Nickelodeon. So I didn't really like watch that stuff unless like I happened to be like babysitting a neighbor's kid, and, like, oh, that's that Rugrats show, and that's kind of weird. And so I didn't really have all those like Rocko's Modern Life. I don't think I've ever seen an episode of that, but I've heard lots of great things about it. It was
Well,
just
the
past my
interesting-
time, I think.
Yeah, the interesting thing about the cartoons that you just mentioned, those almost turned into afternoon cartoons. Like those turned into cartoons like after school specials.
yeah,
After
yeah,
school,
yeah.
When you get off
like
at
right
school,
once you
like or
got
2
home.
or 3. Yeah.
Right. I remember getting home, or I would get to my babysitters because my babysitter lived right across the street from my elementary school. We would turn on Nickelodeon. Inspector Gadget would come on.
Dun, dun,
Then
dun,
Hey
dun, dun.
Dude. Then
Hey,
Salute Your
dude.
Shorts. And
Yeah.
then
Sorry. Getting offsided
Rugrats,
there.
Rocco's Modern Life, all those fun ones. But you had like as a
Hey,
little
dude.
kid in elementary school, getting through Hey Dude and Salute Your Shorts, that type of stuff didn't appeal to me because I wanted the Rugrats. I wanted the those
Younger
other
stuff,
type
right?
of cartoon.
Right.
I still wanted cartoons because I was in
Yeah, like
elementary.
Alex Mack was an awesome show, but still,
Right.
you wanted the cartoons.
You still want the cartoon. I
Right.
get you.
Well,
yeah.
but her show was cool because it almost made her a little bit of a cartoon, like because she could morph into that metallic cartoony looking thing,
Mhm.
and then it made your imagination go buck wild, thinking, "What if that was me?" Like, Hey Dude was just a group of kids on a ranch. Salute Your Shorts, group of kids at a camp.
Right.
It wasn't like they had any special powers. And that was another thing. A lot of these cartoons were a lot of superhero-esque.
Yeah,
Like
new forms of heroes. Like we
Right.
all knew at that time Superman and Batman are hot stuff, but these characters only exist in animated form, but they always do the heroic journey, the heroic duty of saving people and all that.
Yeah. Oh, it's fascinating. Oh my God. I'm just
Well, it's
I
funny,
like
too,
hearing stuff
because-
I don't know about too.
There's the whole afternoon block in Nickelodeon, but if there was ever a day you stayed home sick, you realized what they showed when you were normally at school. And that's when you get into the more toddler things. Like they had Blue's Clues and Little Bear
Nick
and Gullah
Jr.,
Gullah
yeah.
Island. Yeah, the
Nick
whole Nick
Jr.
Jr. block. Because
Huh.
Nick Jr. ended at like 2, and then they bring in like Stick Stickly or something. Like they had Face, and then they transition to Stick Stickly. Like it's a different host, even though they're both
But
non-existent
there's
entities.
there's something called Stick Stickly.
Stick Stickly is
you
the
didn't
best.
you didn't know about Stick Stickly?
The
No, I was
best.
too old by that point.
He had
Dude,
to host
I
all the
loved him.
shows. He had to introduce what's coming up next.
He was
Nice.
almost like a Jimmy Fallon before Jimmy Fallon.
Okay. Wow.
Like he had his own little desk. He would go talk to people. Oh, dude, Stick
Nice.
Stickly, man.
There was a whole summer of Stick Stickly where he had to go on a journey across America.
I remember that, dude. I can't believe that.
It was
just
like a
opened
big
up
deal.
a whole world in my head.
So did anything ever break him?
No?
No.
There's
No.
times where he would dive into stuff and he'd have to experiment or figure out what it is. Like they would put him in certain kinds of ice cream or coffee or something.
Wow.
I always found him to be kind of if you want kind of like a not really similar, I guess, but Mr. Bill. Stick Stickly kind of reminded me of Mr. Bill, but Mr. Bill was always being smashed. Come
Right.
on, you got to know Mr. Bill.
No. I was saying like, how is this anything like
Okay.
Mr. Bill? Mr. Bill's very adult, but okay.
Yeah. Well, kid version.
It's like
of
a
Mr.
kid
Bill,
version
then.
of
Okay.
Mr. Bill.
Okay.
Yeah, when they
Oh.
put him in the ice cream or they put him in the milk and he
So it's the same
he's,
kind
like,
of
shivering and
character. I
stuff.
get you. Okay.
It's just there's no like getting absolutely crushed
Like,
and
oh no,
body parts missing.
But Stick Stickly was all he was a popsicle stick with googly eyes and a mouth.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
I
that
might
was-
have seen this character.
He's amazing.
Okay. all
But
right.
that was more again. That was going back to the afternoons.
Right.
Yeah.
If we were to jump back to morning cartoons and stuff like that, and kind of talk about the downfall, it really kind of came when corporate. Oh my God!
corporations.
Well,
I don't
sorry,
know what
I
you're trying to say.
totally like lost my train of. I had this whole thing going somewhere, and then all of a sudden it was like gone. Well, great.
Poof, Thanos snapped
Yeah.
out of your mind.
Well, it's
That's
funny
okay.
because during that time that Nickelodeon's really doing good, that's when ABC had Recess, and that for me defined what was the matter with Saturday morning cartoons on big networks. No offense to anybody who's a fan of that show, but it wasn't even in the same league as any of the Nickelodeon cartoons at the
That
time.
show sounds familiar. What was it about?
Like literally, it's kids at school at recess.
Going to
Oh.
It's
recess.
almost just like Hey Arnold, except it's a terrible Hey Arnold.
Oh gosh. Okay.
actually kind of liked recess.
But it's still a terrible Hey Arnold.
But I wasn't a big fan of Hey Arnold because I felt like I couldn't relate to the characters on Hey Arnold. So
And I'm too old to know what that show is.
yeah.
But it
I mean, I've
feels
heard
like
of it,
Recess
yes,
was one of the last shows that was on ABC in the morning on Saturdays.
maybe.
Oh wow.
What year would that be? Like 91, 92?
Oh no, it was more
No.
like 97,
Oh,
99.
jeez. Okay. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Now I really feel old. Holy cow.
Now I did do a little bit of research on what was the very last Saturday morning cartoon,
This is sad.
and
Okay.
the only thing I couldn't find was the date of it, but it was a Yu-Gi-Oh. Do you guys know what Yu-Gi-Oh
Oh,
is?
Is
okay.
that a trading card game or something?
Yep.
Sure.
It
That's all I
was,
know about it.
yeah, no, Yu-Gi-Oh was kind of like they had a follow-up to Pokemon because it
Yeah,
had a
it's like a
similar card-based
Pokemon-esque
thing,
thing,
but then
yeah.
it was more of
Yes.
a anime heavy like Dragon Ball. Like it tried to meld Pokemon and Dragon Ball together.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I
Yeah,
could
that's
see
my
that.
understanding of it. So that's the last show.
That was the
on
last
Saturday
one, and I
morning.
want to say that it was like 2010 or 11. It was somewhere
Oh,
in
that
there.
late? Because I
Right,
remember
yeah.
when SpongeBob
Hmm.
SpongeBob launched in 2000. It was a big deal on Nickelodeon when they decided they hadn't had a new cartoon for a while, and they launched Invader Zim and the same thing. That's when Nick Cannon actually hosted shows on Nickelodeon before he hosted like America's Got Talent and whatever he hosts now.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know.
And they made a whole big special event about it. And I mean, SpongeBob is everywhere. He's like the de facto internet meme of every scenario that's ever happened in the history of time. There's a meme for it.
Pretty much.
And that show's been done for a long while too.
Has
Like,
it? I don't
and
know.
it's still very popular. I'm pretty sure it's been like off the air, like not actually doing anything, right?
I don't think.
I
I
don't
think
know.
I've watched like 2 episodes or 3
I put
episodes of
on
SpongeBob in my
Nickelodeon
life, so I have
recently,
no
and
idea.
it was like new ones, and I was like, "Oh God, this is atrociously bad." They were like going to Atlantis or something, and they did this horrible song. I turned that off.
I figured they was still going on because they're still making movies.
They're
Yeah,
still
they make
making
their
movies, but I don't think that they're making cartoons anymore. Here's the thing.
I've seen the art style, and it looks like they tried to modern. Like I've seen SpongeBob. They show SpongeBob through the years. His arms go lower, and his pants go higher, and his eyes change. Like they show his spongeness. It changes every single year. But now
What is the
it's like
sponge?
too realistic or something. Like the art's too good.
Ew.
Eh. I'm
Yes, I've
not-
seen those realistic paintings of SpongeBob, and they're creepy. So I don't think I want to see a cartoon of it. No thanks. No thanks, Suri.
4K art on
Yeah,
cartoons. Not a
we don't
fan.
need that. Mm-mm.
So I want to jump back to some of the cartoons that kind of like sold us on things.
Yeah. 'Cause that's important.
Well, it is important because, like you said, I mean, we went through a time where it all worked. It
Yeah.
all worked. Every commercial, and that was another thing too, is the commercials were awesome back then.
They had the
Like-
best commercials. There, you have no
Yes.
idea how much stuff I've seen in my parents' attic that was on commercials. I'm like, I can remember all these commercials. There's like bins of stuff, like old
Yeah,
toys.
I'm like,
and
I remember that.
stuff.
And I remember getting some things to be like, this is nothing like the commercial. What the hell is this toy?
Crossfire.
Thank you. Yes. that
Crossfire is one of the worst things
Like,
ever, but the
what
commercial
is this?
was so awesome.
But that's
Oh
the
my
thing
goodness.
is like they knew how to advertise to us kids
Of course.
by
Mr.
they would
Bucket.
have a
I think we've
22
had
minute
that
long
episode.
I think we
they
did,
would
yeah.
have a 22-minute
Radical.
22-minute long cartoon that was essentially just a 22-minute commercial, and then they would fill in that extra 8
With
minutes
more commercials.
with
of the
more
same stuff.
commercials of stuff for us to buy.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic. The commercials were great. The jingles were fun. Like,
Yeah.
They don't make commercials like that
they
anymore.
don't make well,
I
how
don't
would we
feel like
know?
I'm
We
just not the
stream
target market.
everything.
Yeah.
That's true.
That is true, actually.
I can't
I
think of the last
when
time I watched a
when I
commercial.
put on that SpongeBob because I was flipping through the channels because the DVR was broken. I had to get it fixed. That was a horrible
Nightmare.
couple days. And I put on Nickelodeon and they showed like 5 cereal commercials in a row. There was like Lucky and like Lucky the Leprechaun and Trix Rabbit and Tony the Tiger all in a row, and I'm like, they still show these. I haven't seen
Huh.
cereal commercials in like
Yeah.
20 years.
Neither have
So
I.
maybe they
Holy
do
cow.
still show it and we just don't ever see it.
Yeah, we're not
Well,
the
and
demographic, too.
that's where the whole invention of streaming and the internet really took over, to where that was just an ultimate death. I mean, talk about the nail in the coffin was
Yeah.
the invention of the internet.
No more jingles. No
because
need.
people could then go onto YouTube. You could go onto YouTube and watch anything on there. Netflix, you could watch anything on there. I mean,
With no commercials. I
with
know.
no commercials.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
interesting just because they've been making new versions of these classic shows and they're all so bad. Like there's a new Inspector Gadget. I'm like, okay, I'll give
Really?
this a try. And I'm like, oh God, this is horribly
You should
bad.
have stopped at the live action movie. Oh Lord.
God, the new TV show, they made Inspector Gadget somehow stupider, but Penny and Brain are stupid too. It was so bad. I was
That
like,
doesn't
what are
make
you
sense.
doing? But
I mean,
right
the
next to it
character's
is
name
the
is
old
Brain.
one. Yeah, they have the old one. And I'm like, just put on the old one. Like it's on Amazon Prime or something. They have them right next to each other. Just watch the old one, okay?
Yeah, don't watch the new one. Oh my god.
But they have a really tough time of trying to redo these old shows in any form, whether it's Inspector Gadget or that new She-Ra show or all the new attempts at Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
You go back and watch the old Ninja Turtles, it's still the best
It stands
version.
up. Right.
Well, but here's the thing: is they're trying to find that lightning in a bottle. Like I just said, we had everything perfectly lined up for us to fall in love with these things. Like the commercials, the story was always fun. Now they're trying to rehash all that stuff, but there isn't all that little bit of extra that keeps your attention just
Yeah, I
just
wonder
that
if
little
that's
bit more.
what takes the magic. Like that's why even if they release the same show today, it wouldn't be as good just because you don't have the commercials connected. The entire show isn't designed around selling a brand to you.
Right.
They're
you don't
like
have
writing
jump
actual
stories.
scripts of
Yeah.
an animated show. Like they're trying to make a TV show rather than making an ad. And it's weird how it loses the same impact.
Isn't it weird? It's kind of like
You would think,
that we're like corporate.
logically, it
shills.
doesn't
Who
make
are
any
we?
sense.
Right. It's like,
Right.
why did we pretty much grew up loving just commercials in a sense.
Yeah.
But the thing, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
We grew up loving commercials, and oh man, there's just so much into all this stuff that really like you can't kind of comprehend in a way. Like why when they want to revisit these shows like a Ninja Turtles, they're trying to revisit it for people like us. It's
Well, what
tougher
they're trying to do
they're
is
hoping that we would show our kids.
that's what they're trying to do. It's not for us.
Right.
They don't care about us. What they want to do is get us to show it to our children. It's, hey, remember this show? You definitely want to show it to your kids.
And it's not working. Like
No,
the
it's
most
not.
popular animated thing right now, isn't it Paw Patrol? I see
Yeah,
Paw Patrol
Paw Patrol
shirts on
everywhere.
little
My
kids
nephews-
and
oh, yeah,
my
backpacks
nephews
at
loves it.
stores and stuff.
Oh, he's obsessed. Obsessed.
Yeah, Paw Patrol seems like a big deal. I don't even know. Is
From
that
like
on
age
Disney?
2
But
to
that's for-
12.
Yeah, that's
I don't know why.
that's like much younger though. Like
No, it's not. You'll see older kids. You'll be surprised.
why?
I don't
What?
know. Who
Is
knows?
Phineas and Ferb a little kid show?
I don't know.
That's the
No,
one-
I know
the
what it is, but I have
that's-
no idea.
I never watched it, but I don't think that was made for like little kids. I think that was made for like preteens.
I have
Yeah.
no
Well,
idea.
the
It just
other- the
seems
other
like none
thing-
of them hit the same. Like, I know what you're saying about, they're trying to remake stuff, but it seems like the stuff that's original, like Gravity Falls, I think they're all on Disney Channel. I don't even know.
Mhm.
But they're all like, you have to be original to hit kids today. And none
Yeah.
of the old stuff is hitting kids the same way.
No, they don't have that nostalgia. So why would they? It's like this doesn't make any sense to me. Why am I watching this commercial for something I can't buy? Almost, you know.
I will say the one thing that I did see recently that nailed the nostalgia and it nailed the feel of all of this was Bumblebee, the Transformers Bumblebee.
That's right. You saw that,
It felt like watching the cartoon all over again.
and that's probably why it got better reviews than all these other ones that we're talking about.
Yeah, it
So-
honestly, it was like they practically took the story straight out of the cartoons, and it was like, wow, they are nailing this. And that's probably, you're right, that's probably why it's popular.
Well, here's the other aspect of it, right? We're talking about the products, and the products, the toys, were significantly better back then. Like in terms of quality and build, and like they had pieces that were die-cast metal in there. They had the hologram stickers on the Transformers. You had like real
Yeah.
rubber on the tires.
There's
of
not
cars,
as much
everything was
TV
better
show
built.
merch either, though. When you
No,
go
there's
to
not.
the toy aisle at Target or something, it's like, here's our Star Wars aisle, all based on the
Right.
movies. Here's our Marvel aisle, all based on the movies.
Here's
Yeah,
our
they don't really
Jurassic
make
World.
TV. Yeah, Jurassic World. They
Yeah,
tie
they don't
it
make
all.
TV-based stuff at all. That's interesting.
Weird.
Now I will say NECA NECA's doing a great job at hitting all of the nostalgia points for
Adults,
toy
Yeah, adults
versions
who have
of
money
Adults
now.
only.
Kids
Oh,
can't afford
hell
NECA
yeah,
stuff. You can't crack open your piggy bank and get NECA stuff.
The little Timmy's are like, I have $1.25.
But that's the thing is kids also NECA's definitely doing it for people like me, not so much for my 5-year-old nephew. Because if I was to show my 5-year-old nephew a NECA Ninja Turtle, he would want to play with it and destroy it and
Don't mess it
should.
up.
No, as
don't
you
touch
should.
my NECA
Play
Ninja
with
Turtles.
The toy. I don't get that. Even now, I'd buy something and probably still play with it or give it to my nephew. But that's a toy's a toy.
But
anyways,
not only are Saturday morning cartoons just gone off the big networks, it seems like Nickelodeon and Disney Channel in particular are making a lot of like live action things. Like there's iCarly, and then there was Hannah Montana, and all those
Right.
Disney shows that they make.
Love that I named both of those last week.
I know.
I don't even
And
know if they're both around anymore.
I don't think
they've been off
either
the air
is
for like
still
10
around.
years or
Yeah,
15 years.
like there was the one with Selena Gomez, and then there was the one with Hilary Duff, and then there, all those people who are now like other actors and actresses. They all started as Disney kids.
Right.
They're all people who have kids now.
Yeah.
That's the weird part.
Oh, that's Lizzie McGuire. They were trying to bring that back for Disney Plus.
They were,
Yeah.
and they even had Hilary Duff on it, didn't they?
Yeah, she was going to be the current version. Like, she was going to have her same kind of insecurities just as an adult, as a 30-year-old.
Sounds
See,
riveting.
reaching out to our age again.
Yeah,
Because
that's
for
what
the-
they're always doing. And it's
Yeah.
just so much live action stuff. I wonder if kids today prefer live action versus animated. Because, again, all the animated
might.
stuff we talked about, Rick and Morty, The Simpsons, Family Guy, Archer, it's all adult stuff.
Yeah. Now yeah.
But it might be because they're not surrounded by all the other stuff that we had. Like it wasn't all toys like we have, I think there was it was more than just the cartoon like we're talking about. It was so much more, from commercials, toys, other tie-ins, movie tie-ins. They don't have that for their TV shows that are animated. So
And
why
who was
would
the
they?
guy who figured that out? Because like we were saying, in the 60s and 70s,
A genius.
they
I
didn't
don't know.
have all the toy connections. They were just like, oh, here's some animated stuff for kids. And then, the genius was like, wait, we're doing it wrong. We're like making mini movies here. No, we need to make ads
Right.
to sell stuff.
Well, according to the Toys That Made Us, I believe it was like the He-Man did that and Transformers did that first. I don't know
Transformers
who
and
was
He-Man,
first,
yeah.
but both of one of those.
They're right about
Probably first.
84, 85. Yeah.
Yeah, they just
Well-
figured it out,
And for those who haven't actually watched The Toys That Made Us, give it a try because it will blow your mind some of the stories behind how these toys came to be. I mean,
Came
the
to be animated
Transformers.
Mhm.
Well, and that's the thing. Transformers still around. We're still talking about it. Masters of the Universe. I'm pretty sure they're about to make a whole new comic series, or not comic series, but a cartoon series
They are
on
Netflix,
that,
yeah.
and a possible movie, live action movie.
Yeah.
They've tried to bring back Gemma and the Stones or whatever. Oh, she's behind you too.
Yeah.
That's
I didn't
awesome.
move my head. Yeah, and that didn't work. That failed miserably.
Absolutely. But
I don't know.
the one that sticks in my head though is, again, Ninja Turtles. Ninja Turtles came out with the comic first, and then they saw dollar signs behind the comic and turned it into a cartoon to where it was more kid friendly, because the actual comic was dark, gritty, and not safe for work.
No, that's for sure. Yeah, they definitely.
The one we
made it
haven't
colorful.
mentioned, which was a really good one back in the late 60s, was Scooby-Doo.
Mm.
The reason that Scooby-Doo was so different is they had actual guest stars on it. Like this week, the Harlem Globetrotters are on
Globetrotters.
Scooby-Doo.
Right,
Who
right.
would think any kind of guest stars on an animated
Cartoon,
show?
right? Well, that kind of falls in line with the whole Flintstones thing, where they were like marketing it more towards adults, because that happened a lot on regular TV shows back then.
Mhm.
Every week on a
Everything
sitcom,
was
you
a
would have like
crossover, yeah.
some big name would come on their show, or
Right.
So
I mean,
They've just they've
Scooby-Doo.
tried to do live action versions of Scooby-Doo over and over again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Like there's the Freddie Prinze where he's Fred, and then we just
Yeah.
had that new one called Scoob, and people were like, "Oh, look, he's animated as a baby. He's like Baby Yoda." No. Everyone forgot that movie even came out. It's like Trolls. Just lump
Yeah.
that aside. Whatever.
I forgot already. So there you
But
go.
the old Scooby Doo's, they're like murder mysteries too.
Yeah, they hold up too. They have
They
a
do
unique
have an
style to
adult
them, and-
idea to them. They're not just little kid stuff.
Yeah. But as a kid, you don't know that. You're just like, oh, this is
Right.
funny, and they're going zoinks, and oh, all this fun stuff, and it's a talking dog,
Zoinks.
and like, whatever, you know. So, oh, Scooby.
So and it's funny that you mentioned the Harlem Globetrotters being a guest star on Scooby-Doo, because the Harlem Globetrotters actually had a 1-season run as a cartoon as well,
I bet they did
on a
Why not?
Saturday morning cartoon.
Nice.
I bet
Well,
anything
and
did
that-
back then, but yeah.
That's the weird thing is I ended up looking into obscure Saturday morning cartoons, and you could tell that these were just straight up cash grabs, where the companies were like, we see the benefit of creating a cartoon, so let's create a cartoon and then try and sell the crap out of everything. So we ended up getting cartoons like Pac-Man in 1982 or Q*bert in 1983, which Q*bert, there is really no need to make a Q*bert.
It was a hot game back then.
But we also got a show called Cops. Cops had
An animated Cops.
an animated Cops.
I do
Wow.
not remember that.
If you guys want, look up the intro. And the funny thing about it, I remember the intro and don't remember a thing
About the show,
about
right?
the show.
That's what I was saying.
But the intro and the bad guys that they show in the intro,
Mhm.
I remember them vividly.
Oh, it's like vividly, right? It's like it's all the theme songs too. Like I can remember the theme songs by heart to this day to most of these cartoons. I can remember what the what the bad guys look like during the intro. I can remember all that stuff, but I don't remember the show itself.
right.
You know, because you saw
Like,
that
you can't
every
even
week.
remember a single story from.
Yeah,
any
it's
of
like
the
I have
episodes.
no
It's
idea
insane.
what they did. Yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I guess the turtles got pizza that one time.
Yeah,
and
I don't
again,
like.
I
I
don't know.
rewatched Ninja Turtles, and I felt like I was watching it for the first time. But I know
Yeah,
animated sequences that hit each note of the intro.
yeah, exactly. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun.
Da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah, so you can do that, but you can't remember what the storylines were. But before we wrap things up here in a little bit, I just wanted to see if there's any cartoons that maybe were your favorite that nobody really knows about. Like anything that you're like, oh my God, I was obsessed with that as a kid, but you grew up and like, why doesn't anyone else
Oh my
remember this
God.
show?
I
Was there
have
anything
like
for you?
1,000 of those. But
Let's not do
Trevor, I'll
1,000.
let you go first because I want you to go first.
I
Oh.
can't think of one. So cool.
Okay.
Well, I guess when your age was a little different.
Everyone knows
for
everything
me-
that I watched.
So when I was a kid, there was this show, and the reason why I liked it so much is because the toy line was fantastic. And if you actually look for other people that have heard of this show, they'll say the same thing.
Is this
they
that
were
Micro
my God.
Machines
into it.
thing?
I-
No, I do like.
I'm
Micro
hoping
Machines.
that
It's
you're
not
about to hit.
Micronauts.
I
No, it's not
hope-
Micronauts either. No.
I hope you're about to say what I think you're about to say.
Okay, so anyways, other people have said the same thing, that the toys are what made them love the show because the toys were some of the best of its time. And the show was called Mask. It was an abbreviation,
no.
MASK, because all these people would wear these masks that would transform them into vehicles. And these vehicles transform into all this stuff, kind of like a transformer.
Right. Yeah.
But it was like so well done. Like the actual toys themselves were so well done. And as a kid, I like searched for this one toy I can never find, but I had everything else. And I still have them to this day, and they still have not fallen apart, shipped away, anything. They all still function. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
But it's a great show. It was a fun show, but I all I remember were the toys, really. You know.
So for myself,
Mhm.
like I said, there's 1,000. Like I could say like the real Ghostbusters, but people remember the real Ghostbusters because
see
Ghostbusters
my
is
son.
still around.
Right.
But one that I don't know, it's pretty popular, but I'm just Street Sharks.
Yeah, I guess that was pretty
The
popular.
toys from Street Sharks were so rad. I loved those toys so much that I actually recently went onto eBay looking for those toys because I wanted them in my collection.
I think for a while I didn't realize it was a cartoon. I thought it was always just a toy or a toy commercial until.
Oh, really?
later. Yeah.
They were awesome.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
my
cool
god, I
looking.
loved them.
Like just big giant heads with small bodies, if I remember correctly.
No, they well
I
a
guess
little
not.
bit,
No, I
yeah.
mean I guess they had to be big because they're a shark. That the shark
Yeah,
head.
there's Shark.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like radical dudes who were turned into sharks
Of
because of some
course.
toxic stuff.
Interesting. I wonder where they got that idea from.
Right?
Hmm.
It's
Radical,
interesting.
dude.
So, more, and I know that we're trying to wrap this up, but one quick thing
Uh-huh.
is how Saturday morning cartoons, they even tried to hit on like rated R movies and turn
Yeah.
those rated R movies into cartoons. Like Rambo had a cartoon.
Right?
The
It's kind of
Toxic
weird.
Crusader had a cartoon. And if you've watched the Toxic Crusader, that is not for kids,
It's a
man.
great show. I love it.
But there was such weird stuff like that
Right.
yeah, I don't know. It's just bonkers to me. There's so many obscure cartoons that came out in the 80s and 90s that were so much fun that all they did was sell toys or video games. And now my nostalgia brain is just going
Exploding.
bonkers and I
Right?
want it all.
Well, I think if people are listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube or wherever, just let us know what your favorite show. Maybe we didn't mention a cartoon that you loved or obsessed over that maybe got overlooked over time. Let us know. Show off your toys and stuff like that too. That'd be great to see people's collections.
You know
And
what?
It's fun.
After this, I am gonna go on to eBay and I'm gonna buy some of those Street Sharks. Maybe I'll do an unboxing of them because I'm so excited.
Nice.
in Prog's piece, you can also use the hashtag secondary doodles for our new doodle challenge. This week's theme is based on our episode Saturday Morning Cartoons. Draw your favorite Saturday morning cartoon. Draw any one you can actually are able to draw. We're going to pick one random winner. It's a new weekly connection we have between our podcast and our artist alleys on Tuesday and Thursday respectively. So you can draw and then see actual artists and get in the spirit of drawing all the connection. Again, hashtag secondary doodles. Draw on a Post-it note. Take a couple minutes and post it. It doesn't have to be pure art. We're just going to pick randomly. We're not picking the best one. We're just having fun with it. And you can see all 4 of our doodles too. And you'll see that, again, there's no art being made.
Excuse me, my Woody Woodpecker was spot on, broski. Well, and at that, please follow us over on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and Twitch. God, I need to change my wording there. All at Secondary Heroes. And if you haven't already, please rate and review our podcast over on iTunes because all of this is free for you and priceless to us.
And visit our podcast on Anchor. You can actually submit a question with your own voice. You can be like, hey guys, what's your favorite Saturday morning cartoon? And we can play your voice on the actual podcast. You can record it right there on your desktop or your mobile device, and we can feature you on our podcast.
Ooh. I really like that. That's pretty cool.
I want to hear your voice.
Yes, speak to me.
So
Nice.
I think that's everything for episode 72. To everyone listening, we hope you enjoyed, and we'll talk to you next time.
Hey, Prog out.
Trina McGee says most of Boy Meets World cast made amends. That is your clickbait of the week.
Zoinks.
Swing scoop!